I'd like my panel to introduce themselves. So we start with John.
So my name is John Frankel. I'm a partner at FF Venture Capital. We're an early stage venture capital firm. We have about 53 active portfolio companies. We start usually at the angel round and then follow on through into later rounds. I'm not going to list all 53 companies.
Oh, come on.
I don't think I could remember more than about 5. But on the consumer side, companies such as Clout, 500px, Indiegogo, How About We, Voxy, and on the enterprise side, companies like Cornerstone On Demand, which is now public, and Rescale, and Livefire. So we are a little unusual. The firm, we have 70 million AUM. We have about 20 employees, which is about 17 more than the average firm of our size. So we provide a lot of resources to help our companies succeed.
Great, thanks. Albert.
I'm Albert Wenger. I'm a partner at Union Square Ventures. We're based here in New York, and we invest early stage in the US and a little bit abroad. We're convinced that the internet and the things that go with it, like mobile phones, are bringing a change that's as important as the change when we went from hunter-gatherers to farmers, or from farmers to industrial society. We are best known for some of our consumer-facing investments. We're the first investors in Twitter and Tumblr, Etsy, other companies like that. But we also do a lot of business B2B investments. We've done a lot recently in the restructuring of the financial industry. We've invested in a lot of the peer-to-peer lending and peer-to-peer crowdfunding marketplaces such as Kickstarter, Circle Up, Lending Club. And excited to be here tonight and listen to some companies.
Hi, I'm Namek Zubi. I started a fund a year and a half ago called Silicon Badia, and we do seed stage investments here. We have 2 funds across here in Jordan, in the Middle East. We do seed stage in the US. We look at, we do about 10 to 12 a year, not like my friend over here, a higher amount. We look at non-sexy sectors here. We're looking at spaces that are still living in the 1990s and that really haven't used data or analytics or mobile or tablets, and whose younger generations are ready to use them. So certain verticals in health tech, farming tech, construction tech, and other non-sexy verticals. In the Middle East, we are a Series A investor. We lead, we take board seats, and we invest across everything, mostly consumer, just because right now on that side of the world we have a very big consumer market that's growing very rapidly.
All right, we're going to go alphabetically. So our first company, Augmate.
I'm the CEO of Augmate. We have an enterprise software for digital eyewear applications. I started the company 2 years ago as a way to create a clickable world for industries. Our motto is, the world is your desktop, and you'll see why in a minute. This is a video that we created for Walmart at their innovation lab. That's where we're sitting right now. So this is a concept video, and this is the imagery that we're showing Walmart. There was a couple use cases that they were looking for, which I'll go into in a second. I'm just going to show a couple screens here. It's an 8-minute video. I'm only going to show a couple more seconds. But it's essentially using digital eyewear to place virtual information in the physical world. This is highlighting a little bit about on-shelf availability, which is very important to them. If the inventory isn't on their shelves, they can't sell it. So the problem that we solve is that information isn't where it's needed or expected. This creates an inefficient environment for deskless workers and people in the field. Augmate connects databases to digital eyewear. We do that to create visual efficiency tools. there's an upwards of a 30% efficiency of time on task when information is within your field of view. So in other words, if you don't have to reference a paper-based manual or a laptop, and that information is within your field of view, there's an inherent time on task efficiency. What you see here, maybe my voice is loud enough, we've got content management, content delivery, and content display. Those are our three pillars. That's our hardware and software stack. Essentially, our CMS, our content management system, acts as a bridge between enterprise software and client databases to the digital eyewear. And it does that with database services. And then there's an Android application that runs on the digital eyewear. Our team creates templates, and there's holes or fields within these templates, and that brings in the information from the databases. So in other words, you'd be able to have an enterprise software of SAP, their warehouse solution, running on a server, and bring that down to a warehouse picker that's wearing digital eyewear. Our team, I'm Pete Wassell, I'm the CEO, I'm an ex-IBMer. I've run $100 million programs for IBM. Eddie Quiros, that's our MIT alum here. He's a serial entrepreneur. He's got expertise with 3D modeling and CAD. He's got a good eye for design. Drew Austin, our COO, he's got a degree in entrepreneurship from Syracuse University. Patrick O'Shaughnessy, he's an expert in augmented reality and has 20 years experience in management and software. Some of the value propositions that we have, this is a hands-free system. We do P2P video sharing, so you've got the ability to see someone else's point of view because there's a camera on these devices. Literally, you've got the ability to be two places at once. So if you talk about productivity, that's pretty significant. We can offer compliance tools for management. Our system is safer, more accurate, and reduces the cost of training compared to traditional systems. And then there's less tangible benefits like employee satisfaction and customer satisfaction. We're talking with customers in every single one of these industries right now today. So the wearable technology market is expected to grow by 19% compounded annually over the next 5 years. It's projected that there'll be 75 million digital eyewear devices by 2018. The same company, ABI Research, predicted if Google Glass was available today, even at its current price of $1,500, 20 million people would buy it in the US alone. This is our competitive matrix. There's definitely competition within this space. It helps validate the market to prove that it's viable. We think that we're unique, yet more adaptable and more flexible than our competition. Many competitors are focused on very narrow and limited market niches. We've got a multiplier effect. So 2 weeks ago, we signed a reseller agreement with AT&T. It was AT&T Global Business Solutions to resell our technology. They've got a tremendous sales force, an army of salespeople. The first customer they brought us was Walmart, and they said they have 100 customers after Walmart. I just got back from Germany last week, where I met with Uvex, that's a safety glass company, adding a digital component, asked us to do the software, and SAP. SAP does the warehouse software. They passed us 10 leads of companies that want to access their software through digital eyewear. So you can see there's a multiplier effect with the relationships that we've built. I'd almost say it's an unfair advantage. Besides Google Glass, we work with 7 other digital eyewear companies. We're on a first-name basis with the CEOs, and they pass us leads. How much more time? Great. Okay. Our advisor, right on the left here, Kip Kokonakis, he was the CEO of MyView. This is the technology that's in Google Glass today. It's one of our advisors, our lawyers on the right. How we make money? System integration. We'll make money off of licensing our platform and the number of enterprise users, and we'll make 15% off the hardware. I think it's pretty conservative as far as our revenue plan. The number of pilots and full solutions that we plan on doing, we think that we could get up to 100 million in the end of year 3. And I know I'm out of time.
All right.
Thank you. Keep myself from all the way. Thank you.
I'm curious, how are you thinking about the trade-off between going broad and the competitors who are going narrow? How are you thinking about why you think that's a competitive advantage at this stage?
Yeah, so some of the competition, the niche markets that they're going after, they'll go after, for example, the hospital sector or, let's say, military, something like that. They'll have a very specific customer set. We've got, at this point, really 3 applications. We've got our general purpose connection of the database, backend database to digital eyewear. We built a warehouse solution on top of it, and then we've got an instructional application. So that's all we have really to date. If we had to pick a niche, we'd probably really settle on the warehouse solution, because even across those industries, every one of those companies are interested in that. We're talking with Toyota right now, automotive industry. It wasn't for assembly that they were looking for this solution. It was actually to do their warehousing. Same thing with Embraer Jet, another company. It takes a couple million parts to make a jet. They're looking for the inventory kind of solution. So if we had to settle in on one thing, that's probably what it would be. 70% of the customers are looking for that solution.
I'm not good with tech. The video that you showed was a demo. It wasn't the field of view of the person who was actually there. It was presenting the sort of thing that it could kind of be if you delivered the product in some kind of way. When will you actually have your product up and running in a way that people can use it functionally? So move it from the concept stage to the practical stage.
So that was a 3-year outlook. We did that 6 months ago. So I'd say it's 2.5 years away. We get prototypes of the digital eyewear from the different companies, and I could tell you, I've shown that video to each one of them. There's a waveguide technology that's not quite like this. This is kind of first generation digital eyewear, and they all say they believe it's possible definitely within 2 years, if not sooner.
So you'll be an R&D shop for the next 2.5 years. You'll start shipping product in 2.5 years from now?
No. I'll step back. What we found was the user experience using the current generation of digital eyewear was not only difficult to achieve, but it wasn't the best user experience like what that was shown with the video. That will be achievable in 2 years. So what we do now, we can sell now.
I want to compress this down.
Okay.
When will you have a product that you're shipping, and what will it do?
We're revenue positive today. We've got customers today that have bought a solution, and it's anchored to your field of view. So it's not anchored to the physical world, but we put it within the field of view, and we sell that today.
Right, and so year 1 is already going. You have how many pilots up and running today?
2, only 2 to this date.
That's fine, but at least I can understand.
In revenue positive.
Right, so you think in 2014/15 you'll generate $25 million of revenue?
I do, in 2 years. Yeah. With the pipeline that we have today, yeah.
Can you tell us about the 2 pilots you have? I mean, who's piloting?
Absolutely.
And some of the results. I mean, proof that shows this works.
Yeah. So the 2 pilots that we have, the first one that we had was with Toyota, and really at this stage, what companies are looking for, it's an educational process. They don't even really understand all that this technology can do. So we put together a proof of concept. Actually, it was software on digital eyewear that they were able to use with their stakeholders. So they took it around to their executives, their investors, and their customers in order to sell within the company. The second client that we got is Zoetis. It's a spinoff of Pfizer. We gave them a $500,000 proposal about 3 weeks ago, which they've now accepted. This solution is very different. Zoetis does animal medicine. So Pfizer does. I could actually show something just real quick while I'm talking. Pfizer does human medicine. Zoetis does animal medicine. So what they've asked us to do was actually go to their feedlots, which are on farms, to be able to pull up information on cows, pigs, that type of thing for veterinarians. So to have the kind of information like when was the animal born, what kind of feed does it take, what medicine has it taken, if it's been sick, who's its mother, where was it born, all that kind of information using digital eyewear. It's a use case that I never imagined 6 years ago, but we got these customers and they give us use cases.
But how do you focus on trying to capture a certain market and having so many different use cases? I mean, how can you build a sales team and the process and generate the numbers you have up there?
Great
with so
question.
many different use cases, you know?
Yeah, so at the end of the day, we honestly don't care what the data is. If you think about it, even the warehouse solution where it's inventory, whether it's a profile of a cow or the specifications of an iPad, if that's stored in our database, it doesn't matter. We're managing the pipeline that goes from the back-end database down to the digital eyewear. So it could be a lot of different, it could definitely be more than one use case. Again, we'll try to focus on the warehouse in the beginning, but we've got the ability to be adaptable and flexible.
What kind of a cost is a company looking at to use the product?
Sure. We're offering our pilot solutions between $250,000 and up to $2 million. So for example, at the Walmart Innovation Lab, they've asked us to go to their distribution center, actually 10 distribution centers. These are large facilities, 1 million square feet. They service 200 Walmarts each. To do 10 of those in a pilot, they told us they thought it would be about $2.5 million. And that was roughly what we thought it would be as well. And that was just for a pilot study at 10 distribution centers. They've got 160.
Nice, and nice touch, by the way, including the lawyer and the.
Likewise.
Yeah. Other questions from the panel? Otherwise, we can open it to the audience for a few minutes.
Just one last thing. Can you go to the slide before this?
Sure.
So the 25 million you have in year 2, can you just take us through how you're getting to that number? And what's the main? Because I saw like 10 things on that slide.
Yeah, I'll walk through a little bit. So basically, the way that we're seeing the So the way this is working is that ultimately we're building a enterprise platform that we feel that will license out to customers, and it's really not about as much the niche because we're learning about the user interface and user experience as we evolve. What we're doing is building the framework, and we're making it accessible. Right now, what we're seeing is that a lot of this is some customizations, more development, we're learning about the customer. So it's been like this evolution of technology where we're start with a proof of concept, then we go into pilot study, and as we go into from the pilot study, then we're going into the actual implementation. So most of the revenues, most of the expenses right now are occurring from implementation and integrating into their system. But ultimately what we're looking to accomplish is licensing of the database, the applications, and then scaling per users.
Great, thanks.
And just to follow up real quickly, we do want to productize this. So in other words, part of the money would go into automation, self-service for customers, have repeatable solutions so that for each industry having the exact application that they're looking for that we sell into that industry. Definitely.
Great,
Scalable.
thanks. One question, go ahead.
Thank you for the presentation.
Speak up a bit.
Thank you for the presentation, and I apologize if I missed this, but if you're speaking in front of the venture capitalists, presumably you're looking to raise capital. How much capital, and then what's the use of proceeds, and what's that look like?
Yep. So that is a great question.
I'm gonna actually, we can show this, but so there's some stuff going on with the general solicitation rules.
Don't answer the question.
Okay.
That's right.
You get yourself into trouble.
All right, very good.
All right.
Anything else?
I think that's it. Okay, great job.
Thank you.
Good evening. Thank you for being here tonight. My name is Raffaele. I'm co-founder of Cannonball. Thibaut, co-founder of Cannonball. Italian, French. Then we have Jim, who is Greek-American, is in Boston. She can think that was scared tonight not to come because last year was terrible. And but he's a great co-founder, so he told me, no, you did a great job. And so the reality is that he's back in Boston, holding the fort with the team. Our app has already been approved. We're going to launch very soon in the month of October. So they are finalizing things back there. So what we want to do is having people fall in love with email again, which is quite of a goal, you can think. And we've been working the last year to do that. We didn't know too much what we wanted to accomplish at first. And then the first wow moment was when we thought that Meg Ryan in this movie, You Got Mail, she was so excited of going online and finding something cool waiting there for her. And so we thought, okay, that's the state of mind that we need to replicate in user behavior. It's like thinking it's going to be a nice experience, like interacting with your email, not such an hassle. Because this is what happened in the following years. Now you have all this content flooding. Am I doing better this time?
Yes, keep going,
Okay.
great.
So all
Thinking
this.
about loving my email. No, go ahead.
No, this slide was already there last year. People were laughing, but for the slide, not for me. So, so now this is how your email look like, and the problem is that the content has not evolved to think all these different things, and there are different users, different inboxes, different behaviors, and there are also different founders who like to take a shot at it and try to come up with a solution for what they like. In this year, we realized that the metaphor, which really represented what we wanted to build, was to think at you as a person when he goes back home and he finds his stack of physical mail. You take it, you go in your apartment, and normally you sort it, no? When you have time to do that. You put on the side your catalogs, your crate and barrel. Sometimes you're going to look at them, sometimes your wife, sometimes they're going to be trashed. And the other things you put in there are like statements, bills, things you have to pay, and then there are the personal things, which in the physical mail can be wedding invitation or a postcard. And basically, that's what we want to do with Cannonball. That's what we are doing. That's the app we created, and we got that our sweet spot was on iPad. So this is what is coming out very soon, and please enjoy this 59 seconds video. So I'm gonna jump in a demo very quick of the product in a second, but just to make it clear, what is Cannonball? It's an email client, it's an interface, it's a different way to look at your existing inbox, Gmail, Yahoo, Hotmail, wherever you want. And it makes part of the job for you. It really lets you relax, sit back, and enjoy the interaction with content. That's what we want to do. Something simple for people starting from their iPad when they are back at home at night and they want to relax. So this is my Gmail. So on the left, you see, and I'm very bad at using this simulator. On the left, you see my important contact. Like an email from Max, he saw on Facebook that I was in town. I bought, I'm going over Thanksgiving in Mexico for a wedding of a friend, you see Expedia. And then on the right, you have most of my less important content with whom I want to catch up every now and then. So if you take out something out of this presentation, what we do is that really we separate, we organize this for you. Things you want to be focused on the left and all the rest on the right. At that point, when we do this, say, okay, these are different content. Can we restructure the interaction with these different kind of things? So for example, email from Max, we want to try to get this as close as possible to a chat, like a very quick interaction, how to respond back and forth with people. Could be a chat, could be a Facebook wall. And so I'm going to say, no worries, I say, see you tomorrow. And voila, and that's how we send email. And that would be for tapping. Or when I see email successfully sent. So, or this, for example, it's my guilt. And this is guilt from today, this is guilt from yesterday, this is guilt from the day before. So this is like a catalog. This is like a more Pinterest kind of connection with your content. It's visual, that's how you normally interact with these kind of things in your world. And then going forward, there are other things that we are already in our roadmap, that we have thought about what things that you can do in sharing and collaborating with people around this. And then the very last thing is like, okay, what about search? What about what's your inbox? What about how you connect with your content? And here it is. The people we do my email the most, the attachments, here they are. I'm finishing. Purchase, finance, and travel. This is where I'm gonna find my things, so I don't need to find folder because my content is in there. So all of this to have people fall in love with email again. Thank you.
Great, thanks.
I have two questions.
Yes.
The first question is that for most of the people on this table, a lot of people in the room, we get buried in email.
Yeah.
But we're in the point whatever % of people use email.
Mm-hmm.
For most of the general public, they get 4 emails a day from people they care about.
Mm-hmm.
So, first question is, whose email problem are you trying to solve?
Yeah.
Are you trying to solve the power user or the everyday user or someone in between? Second question is, how do you make money?
Yeah. So, first question. We look at the world like the two extremes. It's inbox zero, inbox overload. Inbox zero are the power users receive a lot of email, they fold, they delete, and so on. They are focused on productivity. Apps like Mailbox took a shot at their problem. Then there are all the normal people who do their personal email most at night. A third of the iPad user does email just at night on their iPad. There are more iPad than iPhone in the US. They relax when they think. They get about 20, 30 email many times because they subscribe to a lot of that content that we move on the right. Microsoft statistics says that 20% of their email are important or the rest are not. So yes, they're gonna have 3-4 emails they care every day. And the good news is that with the solution like this, they can see those emails. They're not gonna be buried into the rest. So that's our first sweet spot. It's like the girl that you see in the video. How are we gonna make money? We think that we have a lot of very original possibilities of creating monetization with the content on the right. Email marketing, it's a very wealthy industry which now has also been a bit disrupted by some providers like Google who started to do a few things like putting their content back in the promotions tab where they're not seen yet and the industry is on fire against them. So things are changing, some other provider wants to catch up, and there are things we're going to engineer in them that are already in our mind, and we will focus on that after we optimize the user experience this fall. So we launch very soon, we work on the user experience, we connect with as many users as we can, and we really try to optimize, and then Q1 2014 we work on the business model, which we have in mind.
So to summarize, the business model is to make email elegant and easy to use, and then clutter it up with ads.
No, because the ads component is very particular in email, because email is a very high engagement platform. So, and on the other hand, the ads, if they are very targeted and are sorted and are provided in a very particular way, somebody will pay a lot for that. So this allows you to provide a very low quantity, so nobody will be spammed. That's the idea. It's just to provide a great experience, and we'll stay so also with the ads solution that we have in mind.
But how do you deal with privacy, right? With that, I mean, if you're looking through my emails and you know that, I like to buy X or Y, and then you're surfacing an ad like that, or on that right side of the, that's. How do you deal with the creepiness factor?
What Google and Yahoo already do in your email, what everybody's already used to, because they're already looking into your email and proposing you something very similar to the last email you connect.
Google is Google, man. They can do whatever the hell they want to do.
No, I get it, but first of all, we are client-based. We don't host email on servers. So as of privacy and securities, for our limited resources as a startup, we're doing the best that we can. And so this is not really threatening people a lot. We don't store their password, don't store anything. Everything is on the app. Then there are ways to interact with that content in a negative way. Say, okay, what are you getting? What are you looking at? And I can ping you. I can send a query and saying, okay, this is what you are looking at. Are you looking at any of these 5 providers? If the answer is yes, for me, it's going to be anonymous. I don't know. I can do things. We really think that we are not gonna touch user, and we will test it in any case.
I'm curious what kind of user testing you've done. So what gives you confidence that this is an experience that people want?
Because we have been building this for, as you know, from last summer when we had a call in 2012, we have been building this around those kind of users. We have been building this around Mac's girlfriend who receives a rulala and guilt every day. She had 26,000 already email. We've been building this for months, iterating, testing across platform and living through the product with hundreds of people. So, yeah.
So she was blown away. She said, the moment she saw it, she said, I love it. Use case of one.
He's a good friend of mine. Discounted a little bit, but that's
it. This is more of an observation than a question. Everyone wants the email problem solved. My concern is you build something, it's beautiful, and then you can't earn enough money to fund it and make it work. And so my concern is the building the model and then working out the monetization at the back end requires you to have deep-pocketed investors who are going to be incredibly patient, and they may just be tough to find?
So, first answer is that I don't think email is one problem. I think email is many problems, right? So we're building for a very specific audience. Now, Gmail, just in the US, has 120 million of users. If we are able to do something which makes the difference for 5% of them, 10% of them, and we take a fraction of that, we're still going to have hundreds of thousands of users which we're going to play, we're going to learn, and we can create significant things. In our monetization ideas, we really think that we're going to have meaningful metrics and evidence way ahead before finishing the money that we have now. So
what I think is
interesting. Yes, we have to go out there and try. Startups are, as you know, are risky and we have to deal with it. But we think we are doing everything in that direction to edge the best we can.
What I think is interesting here is that it is a new device, a totally different device, and I think your success will be there or not be there depending on whether you've nailed the experience for that device. I think you'll see that very soon now that you're releasing it publicly.
Yeah, we're very excited.
One last thing from my end. I mean, I'm not smart enough to invest in companies like this just because I never can understand consumers. They're so flaky, they change their I'm one of them, one day I love this, one day I love that, one day I'm here, one day I'm there. So how do you plan to acquire your users? Who is your user, right? Going back to Max's girlfriend. I mean, who is she? What demographic, what age? And then how do you plan to get to them, given that she's busy with 100,000 other apps out there that can help her?
Yeah. So we need these people to find us, right? So we've been spending the last 2-3 weeks meeting with journalists who want to write about us in tech blogs, but also in blogs for women, which some are covering us in the next 2 months. We are looking for really having the people like Mac's girlfriend, like the women in there, the Pinterest crowd, the ladies who are at home are 35 and 40 and spend a lot of time at evening playing with these devices. Clear, they're not the techies. They're not the people who are going to read about us on TechCrunch and they're going to download us. But maybe they can have a son who want to do that and going to provide them information about this app. It may take some time. I'm not saying that we're going to do this launch mailbox style, people getting crazy and so on, but it takes time to build value. And we think that we have a great experience, we have a great roadmap of other things coming out the next months. And we will iterate, we will push, and inch by inch, that's what we will be doing.
You might want to talk to Guild. You might want to talk to Guild and Rulala and Groupon and all those guys, because they could be a distribution vector for you.
I would be happy to take your introduction if you would like to provide it to me.
I'll hook you up with the Guild folks.
All right, thanks. That was great. Glad you came back.
Thanks.
Okay, expand. Oh, no, we're not. We're gonna.
One question.
All right, Paul, go ahead.
Great work. How are you going to protect it?
Sorry?
How are you going to protect it from Google stealing this and killing you guys?
Well, the way you protect things like this, first you keep innovate. People like Google, they have so many users that they cannot innovate too quickly because they have to bring everybody with them. No? So that's how there are other startups in email. There was somebody called Sparrow last year that did something nice. At a certain point, Google bought them because it's easier, you kill a small innovation and so on. You protect just trying to do something, doing original and connecting with users become meaningful. Those guys are too generalists to solve the problem of 5% of their users.
Okay.
You can ask that question about every startup when it comes to Google. Why can't Google kill? Really? I mean,
Except when Google started.
All right, thanks very much.
Thank you.
All right, good evening everyone. My name is Dave and I am one of the co-founders of Expand. Expand is a solution for companies to engage, and bring on board new employees. So let's see here. Why are employees at companies like Apple, Google, and Goldman Sachs so much more happier as compared to companies like
Because they make more money? I'm sorry.
I'll get to your point actually. Companies like HP, BlackBerry, and Sears. And why is it that the companies in the first set are so much more innovative and productive? You'd be surprised to know how simple the answer is. Are you ready for it? The answer is engagement. That's right, engaged employees. So if you look at it, companies in the first bucket, such as Google, Apple, and Goldman Sachs, are able to engage their employees at 90+% rate. 90+% rate. Very impressive when you compare it to companies like HP, Sears, and BlackBerry. Well, BlackBerry almost does not exist anymore. But they have engagement rates of less than 70%. You may ask, and Namak had asked me before, who is an engaged employee? What exactly is an engaged employee? Well, an engaged employee is someone who is productive and motivated and happy to come to work. They are 100% psychologically committed to their work, and they are happy and productive, and they add more value to their companies and tend to remain loyal to their companies for a longer time. In fact, research has demonstrated that companies with engaged employees tend to garner 10% more customer satisfaction ratings, have 21% higher productivity, and 22% more profitable than their peers. And to your point, it has been shown that engagement, in fact, is a bigger driver of performance as compared to compensation or even perks. So it seems to me that employee disengagement is the biggest challenge facing companies worldwide today. And that is where the opportunity for Expand comes in. Expand enables companies to engage new employees right from the day of offer, therefore turning an otherwise dull and boring onboarding process into a competitive advantage for these companies. Now, you may ask, how do you take someone like her, a new hire like her, and turn her into someone like this? What is the secret sauce? Well, we already saw that engagement is more important than money. Well, to understand this, let me take you through a personal story of Richard Brown. As you can see, Richard Brown just got an amazing job offer with Acme. He's super excited to join Acme. And along with his job offer, he gets an email from Acme, which gives him access to Expand. When Richard comes to Expand, the first thing that he sees is a welcome message from the CEO of Acme. Imagine what that does to the psychology of Richard. He immediately feels a connection to Acme, and he feels like he's going to be valued as a new employee. Thumbs up to Acme. And then, Richard gets to see where he's going to be working and who his new team members are going to be. And then Expand takes Richard through a very immersive, rich, and engaging experience, immersing him into the company's culture, history, values, and mission. Therefore, allowing Richard to understand what Acme is all about and whether his personal beliefs align with Acme even before he joins. Not only that, Richard is able to connect with his future colleagues right from Expand. He's able to connect to his mentors, he's able to connect to alumni that went to the same school and had the same ex-employers as him, as well as he's able to connect to new hires. So he can talk about sharing rooms, he can talk about moving to a new city, all of this within Expand. Not only that, we actually make Richard smarter when he gets into work. How do we do that? We provide Richard relevant training and skills that will make him accelerate his productivity from day one and make him better at his job. And all of this magic happens in a social, collaborative environment, like you see over here. So how big is our opportunity here? What are the numbers that we are talking about? We are at the crossroads of what analysts term as social business and talent management. And each of these markets by themselves are greater than $4 billion each, growing at 20% plus growth rates. So who are our target customers? Our potential beta customers include a large investment bank, high-growth startups, hospitals, and a large law firm right here. So who's our competition? Well, there are clearly other companies in the market that provide talent management solutions. We differentiate ourselves by providing a never-seen-before engaging experience to the new employees. And we allow all of this with minimal disruption to the organization's own existing infrastructure by providing them a seamless self-delivery management platform. And not only that, we are able to collapse the broken and fragmented onboarding processes that currently most organizations have. And some people in this room who have been in HR can vouch for it. We allow them to collapse them all into one seamless platform. And we do all of this magic even on a mobile device. So a new employee can use their iPod, or they can use their iPad, or their iPhone, or any kind of tablet, and use Expand right away. And we are the only solution in the market that is targeting the millennial workforce. You may ask, who are millennials? Well, millennials use social collaboration as an enablement, and they expect organizations to keep them engaged. So why is engaging millennials so important? If you see the facts, by 2020, 50% of the American workforce is going to be millennials, people who are born after 1980. It is important, and a lot of progressive organizations are already thinking forward on how do we engage this new incoming millennial workforce. We are two co-founders, myself and Kalyan, and each of us has more than 7 years experience in running and managing large enterprise technology companies. Our team consists of 4 engineers, and our team members come from companies like Goldman Sachs, Google, Walt Disney, and Newton. Our board of advisors consists of people from Citigroup, Thomson Reuters, Corporate Executive Board, and IBM. And we hope to leverage all of these connections to expand the customer base of Expand. Thank you for your time. Open for questions.
You didn't say Carnegie Mellon on this slide. Is it because we're at an MIT? You have an issue?
No, I was talking about the companies, not the educational institutions.
I mean, so I had the pleasure of learning what being an engaged employee is from you today, because I thought it was very simple, right? You give them some free food, you give them a volleyball court, some cash, extra cash, you know, and you become happy as an employee.
Yeah.
So as part of your sales cycle, which, you know,
Yeah.
I love enterprise and B2B businesses, and I love to see how startups usually struggle trying to sell into them. So is part of your sales cycle educating them what this means and then selling them, or is this a problem they already have and know about? You know?
So the good part is that this is a problem that a lot of organizations already have. And if you look at it, if you read the body of research that exists in the market, everyone is talking about employee engagement and everyone is talking about onboarding new employees. It's a big challenge that every organization is facing. And the progressive organizations that we are talking to right now get it. They get it in the first minute of our conversation and they want to adopt this platform.
Lori, do you agree? As a law firm.
It was the comment about, what was the comment you made about bringing on board, the onboarding process being a terribly boring one?
Yeah.
So yes, so we hire way in advance. People are recruited the summer before they actually start here. So a process like this is a very interesting process. And we use various things right now, but we are going to be talking to Dave about this.
This is at what stage of development at the moment?
So we are going into our beta. We have a prospective client pipeline of more than 10 opportunities, and we are at various stages with these opportunities.
And are you targeting an enterprise sales model or a kind of a self-serve model where companies can just come in, sign up, and set up?
Yeah. So initially we're targeting an enterprise sales model because our high-value customers happen to be Fortune 1000 companies and professional service companies like law firms, investment banks, consulting companies, and accounting firms. So we are starting with a high-touch model, and we've actually talked to a lot of high-growth startups. Some of them are, I can't mention the names right here, but they want a self-service model, and our second version of the product is actually going to create a self-service model where people can download it from the cloud and install it in their organization.
So, I mean, obviously we're investors in a lot of high-growth startups, and I can absolutely confirm that onboarding is a very critical element that often gets neglected. People spend a huge amount of time finding employees, screening them, negotiating their package, and the first day of work they show up and there's like nothing. So I think you're solving an important problem.
Onboarding is a real problem. There are some significant players out there, but it's a massive market. There's definitely scope for you to go out and target customers. It's just, building a SaaS business from the get-go today will take a long period of time. And so it'll take a long time for you to sort of get traction in a market where there are some large established players who already think about it. That being said, massive market. And I don't know whether you should be targeting Fortune 1000 or startups or, picking your segment to start going after.
Yeah, I think, obviously you have people who have an enterprise background, so you may pull it off, but I definitely think that the biggest question is kind of what the sales cycle and what the dollar value looks like.
Yep.
If you can make that equation square, then
Yep.
the enterprise model
Yep.
works very, very well.
Yep.
All right, I'm gonna thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, Brad Hires.
So I'm Adam Blake, and this is Max Feinhesich, and we are co-founders of Thrive5, and Sloan 2011 classmates with the Italian man over there. Spent a lot of time talking about his girlfriend.
Super nice. I love Cannonball.
We are Thrive5, and we have a guided marketing solution for small business owners. The problem that we're trying to solve is that today, small business marketing is completely and totally broken. And the reason why it's broken is because it's gotten complicated. So imagine you have a friend, his name is Captain John, that's him, and he operates a sailing school, and he's struggling to grow. Comes to you, says, hey, I need some help, you're smart, you probably went to MIT, you must know everything there is to know about everything. How do I fix this? And today, there really is no comprehensive solution. There is no answer to this very fundamental problem that millions and millions of small business owners around the country and around the world are facing. Captain John is getting called 10, 20 times a week by everybody. Google, Yelp, he's talking to his brother-in-law over Thanksgiving that's telling him about the new marketing widget that just came out. Everybody is trying to sell Captain John something that's going to either take his time or his money. And this is what it feels like to Captain John today. These are all the different options that are out there that have something to do with marketing that Captain John could, throw some time or money into. And it's a total disaster. He has no clue what to be doing.
I wonder how his inbox look like.
His inbox is a disaster. And, but there's something really fundamental here that is even deeper than that. The fundamental problem here is that all of these companies have set up their business models to be trial and error at Captain John's expense. All of them. If you go to Google, they'll make it very easy to spend your money. No guarantees about what you're going to get. You want to invest your time in something that's free, no guarantees. Nobody wants to touch that with a 10-foot pole. And so this has created a fundamental problem for Captain John and everybody else where it's just broken and it's unsustainable. So we've created a solution, we call it a guided marketing solution, to eliminate this problem. And it's really kind of two parts. The first part is a guidance layer that we've developed. This is only now possible because all of those solutions that were on the previous slide, they've all done this really nice thing for us, and they've opened up APIs, and basically everybody has made their data available to anybody that wants to connect to them. So we can take all of this data and all of this information, and we can put that into a recommendation engine that we've built, a marketing recommendation engine, and we can guide Captain John through his marketing experience and tell him exactly what he should be doing and what he should not be doing. That's the first part of the solution. The second part of the solution is the platform itself. You need to bring these disparate solutions together. It's not sustainable, it's not manageable for him to be going out and logging into 27 different platforms every day as he comes home from his charter. So we bring together a marketing platform that enables Captain John to do all of the normal marketing tasks that he may need to do, track almost anything that he might want to advertise in. And all of this is in one platform that's a SaaS product that starts at $99 a month.
Okay, so let's take a look at what ThriveHive actually looks like. So Captain John has been out in the water all day with his customers, teaching them sailing. He comes back to his shop and he logs into ThriveHive. And as you can see here, the first thing that he's going to see in his sailing stops his business, sailing stops Hive, his dashboard, is instead of a bunch of options, it's not a wall filled with email and social media. No, it's actually telling him exactly what to do. So send your monthly newsletter, and of course this is mass customized. It's his own marketing plan built by our recommendation engine using data, not only from his own data, but from the aggregate pool of data that we are collecting. He actually wants to send that monthly newsletter, and clicking here, he gets a little explanation of why he should be doing that, of course. But once he clicks on that, he's going to go to a guided workflow. So it's a series of steps, 5 simple steps, and we're going to be able to actually empower him to build a beautiful email that's optimized for mobile, including all the best practices. Internet's a little slow, so let's give it a second. There we go. And right now, so he can actually go in and in 5 steps, select his template. And right here, he's got everything he needs. I don't like the way this looks. I want to switch it up a little bit. Maybe, okay, that's much better now. Large picture here. And he can insert this type of call to action here. Call to schedule your free class. This number that you see here, that's not John's number. It's a unique number that we provide for him, and he's going to use that only on email. And the way this works is it's actually pointed to the number he gave us, his office number. And when somebody calls, so I'm going to take that number and make a phone call in a little bit. That's going to go to ThriveHive and then connect it to his office. But let's say that he wants to edit a couple of things. He likes his, his email, and he can just go ahead and click on here for the next step. Again, this guided workflow is taking him, now we're step 4, I'm going to select my list. All his contacts live on ThriveHive. This is where he's managing his business. And he can just schedule the email to go out and getting called on time. So I'm going to speed up a little bit. But once that's scheduled, he's pretty much done. And he can go back to see what's the next thing that he has to do. So ThriveHive is telling him what to do and guiding him, hand-holding him to make sure that he's effective with marketing without being a marketer. So we're going to make a phone call while this loads. What's happening right now, so Adam received an email, he wants to schedule a free class. He's actually calling that number that we provided for Captain John. And of course, right now this is pointed at my cell phone, so live demo, a little scary with reception here, but hopefully
my reception is a little shady.
We'll see that come through, and you're going to see what that looks like for Captain John.
Your voicemail's picking up.
Okay. Anyway, that's still going to show up. So if I actually that went to ThriveHive, he might have left a voicemail. I'm going to refresh. It's fine. It's going to show up. And when we refresh, that's going to show a new lead from Massachusetts. That's Adam's phone, and it came from email on December 3rd. So he can actually, October 3rd. So he can actually click on that, and he can, of course, see where that came from and all the information. If there's a recording or a voicemail, he can listen to it right here, right now. And then he can go back and take all the time to manage his business and spend time with his family. Thank you.
Just one word of advice. He took me on a trip with Captain John, man. I mean, I was sitting here thinking, is Captain John a sailor? What type of sailboat is he? Does he cook fish tacos? You said Captain John 100 times. Forget the damn captain.
Thank you.
So tell me more about your traction, how you're testing this out. I mean, the small business owners are so overwhelmed, as you showed us from that slide, right? I mean, small business owners I know, my friend just bought a cafe in the West Village, for example. He's sick and tired of all these people coming and pitching on different solutions and different customer acquisition techniques and different marketing techniques. Do small businesses need all of this stuff? I mean, do they need all this stuff? Are they willing to pay for it? I mean, what type of metrics or data do you have from your pilot base that shows this?
I can take it. Okay. So yes, we're live. We actually have paying customers. We've seen people actually really shift and change their business using the software platform. And not only do they need this, but they need the sort of guidance layer that's going to make sense of this marketing space, because they know there's an opportunity there. Everybody's telling them that there's an opportunity there, but the way it's structured today, they cannot access that opportunity. So definitely they need it. That's number one. The second thing is, in order to get to that market, we're actually following a content marketing strategy. So it's educational, all inbound. We only do inside sales. There's no cold calling, which also helps in building that sort of trusted advisor role, because they need to buy into your process and your solution before they're going to put in the effort and the time that it's going to take for them to be successful.
So the only thing I'd add to that, so we've started by proving that we can sell directly to the market, which we felt was extremely important. Another key to making this extremely large is through referrals, and we've already seen that we're getting referrals without any incentive at all. So you've got the referrals, that makes this big, that cuts through the clutter. So when Captain John, it has a really great experience, then he tells his buddies, and that's how you cut through the noise. So that's how it gets really, really big. There are plenty of partners that have huge banks of small businesses. We're not reliant on that. We can make this work on our own, but there are a lot of people that we're already talking to who have a lot of interest.
We, a couple of years ago, had this fundamental belief that now was the time that small businesses would start engaging with technology. I could lay out all the obvious reasons that we know, Gmail, no need to have your own email servers, etc., familiarity with that. And what we learned was that all of our companies that targeted small businesses to sell them product ended up pivoting to something else. And there were two main reasons. One was the cost of acquisition was very high. And then once you actually got the small business using your product, they started running their small business and stopped using your product. So engagement was incredibly low. And so it just became too expensive to acquire, too tough to teach, and they were ADHD and they would just go and run their business and do whatever they do, as opposed to spend time living within your control center for whatever you were trying to do, whether it was social or customer tracking, whatever the particular item was. So one of the things that you would need to communicate to an investor like us are details about churn, about engagement, about cost of acquisition, so we could be convinced that the world now has changed. We want to believe it's changed, but we've become incredibly cynical. I don't think we're the only people sitting sort of this side of the table who sort of feel that way. But if you can do this, and it delivers all the things you're trying to deliver, it could be a very big business. It's just, you've got to get over those hurdles.
Absolutely, and I think we're tackling one of the largest unsolved problems that exists in the world today. So small business marketing is a huge market. Nobody has cracked it. And a couple of sort of answers to the points you made, which are all spot on, by the way. So first of all, engagement-wise, we do see this as kind of their dashboard where they're running their business. So anecdotally, again, the numbers are pretty small, but we see people, they're telling us, I'm logging into Thrive before I see my email or log into Facebook in the morning, because that's where my leads are coming in. So this lead-centric dashboard is the only place where they're running their business. That's kind of where they run the day-to-day of their leads and following up and making those calls to their customers. So that's one. The second is we've been focused on measuring those software as a service metrics, of course, cost of acquisition, lifetime value. And right now we've actually proven that we can make a inside sales model profitable, and our LTV to cost of acquisition is within the realm of the 3-to-1 that everyone wants to see. For this early stage, again, the numbers are small, and we're going to see how we can scale that. But all really good points. Thank you.
Yeah, I just want to second, I think, John's point, which is, as you go out and raise money for this, you really have to upfront address what is different now and what is different about your product, because pretty much every VC has lost money in this space. Like I think everyone has, and even the few things that sort of look like successes weren't big successes. The Reach Locals of the X of the world. So I think somebody will solve this problem someday and will look like a total genius, and it may well be you guys. You just really have to be you just have to really, I
think, address this in your pitch up front, rather than have investors think you're naive about it.
Understood. Thank you.
All right, one question from the audience. Go ahead.
So the question was basically about how our algorithm works, like why we know some of these things work or why we might recommend one thing or another. I guess the answer is that we have a more comprehensive data set on the marketing side of what these small businesses are doing than anybody else out there. So there are really nice silos of data. If you go to the email companies, they have amazing data on email. Constant Contact can tell you a lot about that end of the spectrum. Google has tons of information. Facebook has tons of information. Yelp has tons of information. It's not connected well enough. We have a stronger connection that is both everything, covers everything on the website. We have track phone lines as we demonstrated. So we get a really, really good and clear picture of what's happening for them. So we take that data in. We take in other data sources, benchmarking data and such that's out there. On the input side, we're putting in data about the business, standard stuff like industry, size, things of that nature. We're also taking in information about the business owners. We're targeting owners, not marketers, and turns out that's an important part of the equation. And using those inputs, we can basically make recommendations. I can tell you exactly who's going to be successful with a Groupon or Living Social or a Yelp ad. It's actually relatively straightforward to do that.
Okay, we're gonna, I'm sorry, you can catch them afterwards. Okay?
Thank
All
you.
right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good evening, I'm Peter Corrigan from the University Network, or TUN for short. We are an advocate for college students. We help college students save money, and that's how we make money. We have a website called TUN.com and an app called TUN Deals. With the help of college students across the country, we've built the largest student discount rewards program ever built. Students need all the help they can get, particularly today, as student loans now exceed $1.2 trillion. We as a nation have entered uncharted territory. 2 years ago, we started to look at this and figure out how can we help? What can we do about this? First, we focused on student spending. Students spend $400 billion a year. About 70% of that is on education. The other 30% is everything else. It's the cost of living. It's the discretionary spend. It's grabbing a cup of coffee, going out and with your friends bowling, getting your hair cut, apparel. Students spend $6 billion a year on beer alone. So we looked at this and said, you know what? How can we help? Well, there's a lot of great things happen bringing down the cost of education. A lot of disruptive technologies that will transform the cost of education. But no one was focusing on the other stuff, the discretionary spending. So that's where we decided to focus. 2 years later, we now have partnered with over 10,000 businesses across the US. We have penetrated so many local markets that we can now help 80% of the US college audience. March 28th this year, we launched our app, TUN Deals. By June, we made About.com's top 7 apps for college students to help them save money. We now are launching a rewards program. Our rewards program gives students free stuff for helping other students save. Our website and our apps work like a digital concierge. That is screenshots of the TUN Deals app. I encourage you to download the app. Download the app, play with it. If you know any college students, share it with them. Help them save money. Students find discounts on entertainment, food, retail, beauty, and much more. And they're real discounts. Half of our discounts are greater than 25%. The other half are between 10 and 25%. We don't take any discounts less than 10% because we don't view that as a valid discount for students. Why do we call it the University Network? We call it the University Network because it's a network of students at universities across the country that have helped us build this network. Students have told us where they want deals. They've told us what type of discounts they want. They've told us about specific places that we should have discounts at. They've let us know about discounts. In fact, they've told us about businesses that we should vote off the island, so to speak. Now we're launching a rewards program which takes it to a whole nother level, multiplies the engagement, and really creates a network effect. Let me tell you about that. What we do, if anyone remembers the S&H green stamps, anyone here? Okay. Okay, so it's loosely based on their model, at least the thought process behind the model. Students earn points for advocacy, for helping other students. They earn points when they share deals on Facebook, when they tweet a deal to their followers on Twitter, when they let us know about a deal, when they tell us about a deal that there's a problem with, when they tell us about a deal that they want off, when they check in at a business when they're out with their friends. When they do these things, they earn points for doing those things. And they accumulate those points and they get free stuff. And they get free stuff that's real free stuff. A common one is a free haircut. It'd be free haircut, free dinner, free steak dinner, free yoga classes. One of the big ones is free open bars. We have 200 merchants already signed on to the rewards program, which we're launching next week. And they're very excited about it. They completely understand how this helps them create loyalty with the students. Okay, we've already proven a revenue stream. We have two revenue streams. Our revenue streams are from advertising, national and local. We've proven it with local. We're at the point where we have hundreds of local advertisers paying us money each month. And it's at the point where the local businesses are actually calling us to sign on. We've also had a couple of ad spends from national advertisers as well. And that's where we see most of the revenue coming from. National advertisers spend between $11 to $16 billion this year on targeted advertising towards students. Why do they do that? Because they know if they get a loyal customer to the students today, they have them for another half a century. That's why they focus on college students. Not only do they focus on college students with ad dollars, but they give away billions of dollars each year on student discounts. Apple gives out between $750 million to $1.2 billion each year in their student discount program. That's it. Thank you very much.
How many students do you have using the app today?
We haven't started promoting it. That's where we are. We felt that we really need to have a product with some depth, and that we couldn't go out there just with a handful of markets. We really need to own the market. It's a tentpole kind of situation. We wanted to get up to a certain point where we can really start promoting, and that's where we are today. We have about 10,000 active users right now that use it on a regular basis. We have a lot of engagement from students. We get 3 to 5 emails a day from students asking us to get discounts near them. So we're getting that point of engagement. We're at the point now where we will start to promote it, and that's what the next stage is about.
10,000 are students?
Students.
And
Yes.
how much have you saved for them so far?
Oh, it's interesting. I'm glad you asked that question. The average student spends about $450 a month. That's the average student spend. There's 22 million students out there in this country. Our goal is to help maybe half of those 22 million save $50 a month or $100 a month. That's the kind of numbers we can help them save. What that translates into dollars, if we get half the students in the country to save 10% a month, it translates to $1 billion a month in savings. And we can do it. We already have discounts throughout the country. And if I go back a few slides, you can see the types of discounts. We don't even take discounts underneath 10%. The discounts range anywhere from 10% and up.
What's the dollar amount, though, that you saved?
It varies. It depends on the product. It could be for gym membership.
I've been told that since you started the 10,000.
I've no idea how much we've helped students so far. We've only been doing this for the last 2 years building up the product. So now we're getting the product out so students can start to save with it.
When you look at projected revenues, what do you think you'll do this calendar year and next calendar year?
I'm not going to go really deep with the numbers just because of the size of the room, but we could talk one-on-one. I do have detailed projections on that.
Do you verify that somebody's a student, and how do you do that?
No.
So as a small business, wouldn't I be nervous about being just as a general discount?
Sure, no. So in most cases, when a student comes in to get a discount, they have to show the student ID. So it's up to the merchant to determine how they want to do that. I would say about half of the discounts require some to show a student ID. Some require just to mention TUN.com. Some of the discounts are good for everyone. There are happy hours there. They're good for everyone. What we do is we look at it from the student's perspective. We act as an advocate for students. We look at it from their perspective and what do they want, right? And so from a merchant's perspective, we're not looking from the merchant side. We're looking from the student side. Come on, you gotta have more questions.
I'm looking for the app right now. Go ahead.
So when somebody goes and mentions the university network to claim a discount, how do you capture that revenue from that discount? If it's going through your platform.
Yeah, so we're not like a Groupon platform or those platforms where they act as a middleman, they have a hand in the pocket. We're not in that spot. We don't want to be in that spot. Where we are is we're a wayfinder for students to find the deals. We're a digital concierge for students to advocate for them to find the deals. When they go in, they get the discount. If they mention time or they show the app, the merchant understands what's going on. Now, on the other side, on the reward side, we have a whole bunch of data that the merchants actually see. And all our future customers have a panel. They know what the social media multiple is they're getting. They know the social media impressions for when the deals get shared, when people, when a reward is claimed and they, a reward is shared and that kind of thing. There's a lot of data that they get. But most small merchants, they just, they see someone come into their pizza store and say, hey, I want the student discount that's on the app. That's where, that's how they get their measurement. It's not like the same metrics that the national advertisers look for, which will be a whole nother set of metrics.
Talk a little bit about how you acquire a new market, like Philadelphia.
We've done different things to get to the point where we are today, and that's just really to build the data. Going forward, we expect a lot of the new deals and new data to actually come from the students through the apps and through the website. From the start, we actually went to each of the markets, we worked with interns in the markets, we cold called into the markets, we researched a bunch of different ways, we got some ground knowledge of what's happening within the market, and then we built up the deals there. And then there's a lot of blocking and tackling with it. We had, at one point, more merchants, and then we went back and looked at all the deals. And just because a merchant calls it a student deal isn't good enough. We actually got rid of probably about 800 student deals because we didn't think that was sufficient enough. We called the merchants and said, hey, you know what, 8% is not enough. Or, hey, Pizza Parlor, the guy down the street is doing much better than what you're doing. You need to come up a little bit because that's really not such a great deal. In many cases, they came up. In other cases, they didn't. Now, and sometimes what we would do is we identify businesses around the school that should provide discounts, and we'd reach out to them and allow them to say, you know what, that's such a great idea. Thanks for letting me know about this. What kind of discounts do you think we should give? Happens all the time.
Great.
Thank you.
Thanks.